Are you anxious or fearful of not being in control of your emotions? What behaviors do I need to change? You may be asking yourself. I'm not a rude person. I get on pretty well with all people. It's not just the rude or irritable behavior that I help you with. My secret system also helps people who struggle with anxiety and overwhelm, or those who find it hard to read the body language of someone else, or perhaps someone who is quite sensitive to what others think about them and therefore may be defensive. Here's an example of a leader who was helped by my secret system. Vince came to coaching as he would experience extreme anxiety each day when he arrived at the office. He did not enjoy his role, but was good at it. He often felt unrecognized and overworked, which made him feel angry. He felt used and gullible. Vince's job as a senior international bank compliance officer required him to take risks on lending large amounts of money. He was always under pressure to respond promptly with decisions on whether loan applications that were sent to him complied with bank lending guidelines. He received over 300 emails each day. Most of these were inter-office and regional memos informing him about areas of his responsibility, policy, and procedural matters requiring his authorization or review. He also received a lot of spam. He felt he could never get rid of all his emails. Everyone seemed to dump everything onto him. Vince was well paid and got on well with his colleagues, but often felt unrecognized, overworked, and physically exhausted. He felt physically tired all the time. He was very conscious of everything in his immediate environment and was constantly checking things again and again. Sometimes he found himself sitting frozen at his computer, not knowing how to prioritize the emails. He would be consumed by fear of not getting his work done, which was compounded by guilt if he left the office early on occasion at night. He was very worried about his future health and work-life balance. Vince had a tendency not to do or say anything about his feelings to his colleagues or boss. He was worried about what people thought of him and was fearful of looking foolish. What if he did something badly or made a serious mistake? Would that reflect badly on him and his chances of promotion? What if he was wrong about his situation? What if he told his boss about his anxiety and lost his job and the substantial bonus that was accruing to him? He had thought about changing his job, but where would he go? All he knew was banking. Vince often felt out of control, not because he did not have the expertise to handle the job, but simply because his involuntary emotional reactions to events were occurring more frequently and with greater intensity, and he just did not understand them. For example, he knew that at any moment he could receive an email from a colleague in Japan or Hong Kong asking him to grant compliance to a large intercompany, interregional loan. If this happened, Vince knew he would be required to weigh up all the legal and governance requirements and give a decision in a very short space of time as to whether the bank would agree to finance the multi-million-dollar loan. Thinking about this scenario would cause Vince to have an anxiety attack with racing heart, sweaty palms, and dizziness in his head. His thinking would become clouded, and he would feel fearful and faint, as if he were having a heart attack. Vince knew that he needed help to understand, manage, and express his emotions better so he could live without fear. Vince processed emotion as a highly sensitive person, what we call a HSP. He is a person prone to nervous arousal from tone of voice, any form of conflict, and will constantly scan his environment for signals of threats. Such a person will experience a surge of adrenaline in the body at the slightest perceived threat. They may be good at forming relationships, but will feel embarrassed and overwhelmed if they think they look foolish by not knowing what to do or letting people down. If something goes wrong, HSPs will become fearful and immediately think that they are to blame or that others are blaming them and will experience nervous arousal. In an anxious person, the body produces adrenaline in response to fear, nervous arousal, more so than in other people. Fear does not become anxiety until he or she attaches a thought to the feeling of fear. These thoughts are what ifs that many people ask themselves when faced with uncertainty. For example, what if my boss laughs at me? What if I can't finish my work? What if I'm wrong or it comes out wrong when I speak to my boss? Firstly, Vince chose to work immediately on one behavioral change, his tendency not to do or say anything when he experienced anxiety. He learned to use the breathing square to help him calm himself whenever he experienced an anxiety attack. Secondly, as his coach, I worked with Vince to construct his anxiety scale, his growing intensity of emotions, so he would recognize his rising level of anxiety and put a strategy in place to counter it before adrenaline overwhelmed him. This reduced his fear-based responses to opening up his emails in the mornings. Third, Vince used the 4-step cognitive framework to construct affirmations to reframe the negative thoughts that came to him whenever he began to experience anxiety at low intensity. Over a period of 6 months, Vince was able to recognize the emotions and their level of intensity in his body, apply the 4-step framework, and regain control in his workflow and enjoy greater work-life balances. So I hope to see you in the class. Now, in my class, I'm going to show you how to turn your annoying, bad, or fear-based feelings into productive behaviors that excite and inspire you to have a positive impact on others, and also how to create empathy, to feel the emotions of others and to communicate to them that you get what they are feeling and what they're going through. This builds trust and will ensure that you have the right impact on your 3 types of stakeholders. And if you're not sure how to do it, make sure on my class, because I'm going to show you the exact steps you need to take to make sure you not only recognize, understand, and manage your emotions according to your emotional style, as Vince learned to do, but how you can massively improve how you manage the emotions of others in your team when they are experiencing overwhelm, anxiety, and/or anger, irritation, or frustrations at work. Look forward to seeing you on the class.